questions, to be a philosopher.
I will preach it till the cows come home. The concept of not allowing an individual within your religious structure to seek out any truth that is not taught directly from supposedly you will never, ever, ever work out well. I will forever vouch to the high heavens that it creates such high levels of cognitive dissonance that people don't know how to actually interact with the real world as a result of it. It causes so much discord, so much chaos, so much strife, and so much death. And beyond that, it causes so many aspects of the human experience to be demonized and polarized and scrutinized. And from that perspective, it doesn't allow people to treat other individuals as human beings. They feel justified because they think that their God would act as such, their God would condone such, because in their Bible, their rhetoric, these things are condoned. And I'm not saying every Christian, I'm not saying that at all. But there are too many that are empowered by these texts, because if it literally says to do this, and if they can be translated and reduced down in multiple ways to then allude to this same thing, then that's a flaw in the text. That's not a translation error. That's not an error in this or that. That is the text itself being flawed to begin with. And then when we have a book that's been written over 2,000 years ago, like if we used in any other context, if we were to use some book that was used years ago after we found out that it wasn't relevant, we would be like, what the fuck is happening? So if we use a medical book that was 2,000 years old, right? And we sat down, tested those methods, and found out that those things actually harmed people, we wouldn't use that textbook anymore. So it's wild that a book around religion would still somehow be held differently. Well, not really, because I understand how people are afraid to look into different things, but the point I'm trying to make is reducing creation to one book, one paradigm, and one construct, and then trying to rigidly enforce that on everybody around you does not go well. And I think this country and the way the state of the world is a perfect example of what happens when you try to force ideologies on other people that simply should not be forced. If people were inherently these ways and it was something that, needed to be corrected, I don't think that so many people would just inherently be that way. Like if being gay, if the concept of gender and exploring that, if all these different things, even being sexual, even being, all these different things, if these things were inherently bad, I don't think that the human experience would produce it so casually, and then especially without any consequence to anybody who then interacts with these topics. The only supposed consequence comes from people who believe there is such and then try to then force everybody else to behave as if there are consequences to simply existing, when in reality, these are just natural things that happen within the human and just the physical realm in general. Because there are gay animals. Animals have sex. There are animals that are even capable of having sex for simply pleasure. And even within certain rigid spiritual paradigms now, because so many paradigms and so many spiritualists come from these religions, and then they unconsciously bring down these ideologies and transfer it with them. The concepts of purity culture, the concepts of never touching alcohol or taking any substance, when in reality, all these things are sacred in other practices. So I will forever be the person to argue against any rigid structure, any dogmatic structure, any structure that tells you have to conform to this to then get this result. I will forever fight against it because it holds us back holds humans back as a race. Humans will beg for clarity. Humans will pray to creation for all the clarity in the world. And if it gets presented to them in a way that they are not expecting or open to, then they will reject that clarity. God itself can be trying to send you information and clear up any distortions around any text or any information that might have been passed down. But because you wholeheartedly believe that God is found in that textbook versus anywhere else, you'll never be able to see God anywhere else. And that's the most damaging thing. People assume that because you don't have their version or their view of God, you don't believe in divinity, you don't understand divinity, and that there's no way outside of their construct to then identify and connect with divinity. They hold one book and believe that is where God is, where I see God everywhere. I connect with infinite intelligence in countless different ways. I can be walking down the street and have a question in my mind, and then a walking stranger having a conversation with somebody else can just say something that answers my question. And that happened, that's not a unique experience. The other day, my brake light was out, and I have no way of knowing my brake light is out, but I'm scrolling on TikTok, and then infinite intelligence managed to get my attention and let me know and warn me to change that before something happens. So from my perspective, you guys limit what God is. You guys think God is this tiny little thing, and you guys squeeze the life out of that concept till there's absolutely nothing left of it. Where I see divinity everywhere, and I interact with divinity in every facet, in every form. And to take that even further, I even understand how you guys interact with divinity and how you believe that your form of divinity is the only way to be accessed. It's like being able to see so many different perspectives, but knowing that nobody else can see the opposite. It's like, and Christians think, and religious people, I would say people who even follow monotheistic practices, think that they are somehow better than atheists. You only have one less God. One less God that you they that I'm sorry, atheists only have one less God that they believe in than you. You believe in one God and you damn every other one. You ostracize, you believe that no other God aside from yours is valid. So in that exact same breath where Christians tend to think that atheists are some horrible thing or some negative thing, you're one God different from them. So don't believe you are better than just because of the perspective that you hold.